Greetings and various assorted salutations. These are the announcements for U.S. History 2 for April 14th. That is Tuesday, 2020. The goal of today's news announcements is to introduce to you the new unit, the Roaring 1920s. As you may have noted, the due date posted for the previous unit, which is Imperialism and World War I, has a due date assigned as April 17th. Naturally, if you just got your computers issued, this due date doesn't apply to you, but for the most part, most of you have already completed almost all the assignments. These are your first priority. Please make sure you finish them. The new unit that we are going to be looking at is the Roaring 1920s. To get started, the first page you will want to look at is the instructions page. It will explain to you a number of different things. It has an assignment checklist, and then there's a relatively new document called the Operational Manual of U.S. History 2, Student Edition. This document is quite useful in the regards that it explains how some things work and consolidates a lot of information that has been assembled across various announcement videos. So I recommend taking a look at that. Anyways, jumping back to the unit itself, this unit has gone through some structural changes. It still almost entirely uses Google Classroom, but it is expanded given that we are now settling in for the long haul. The first activity, the first thing I recommend doing, is the vocabulary and lecture video. The lecture video is a video designed to introduce you to this unit and is quite helpful in that regard. It also talks about the culture of this time period. Fans of The Great Gatsby? Welcome aboard. Then there's some additional resources on flappers, jazz, something called Return to Normalcy, and then we get into some different assignments. We've got Economics of the 1920s. And what this is it looks at why was America prosperous during the 1920s? What did the economy look like, and what are some things that made America come out ahead during this time period or set America apart? So we'll be looking at that. It uses the website from the BBC, and there's some assignment questions tied to these materials. Moving on to 1920s Society, Prejudice and Intolerance, we've got a series of activities that look at society. Now, you'll notice right away that you've got 1920s Society, and you have several of them. And the reason for this is these are all relatively small activities that were originally designed to be done all together. However, due to the setup of Google Classroom, due to survey data that I've been getting, students seem to do well with smaller chunks that are relatively easy to set some time aside between other classes and work on these. So while it looks like a very long list, it really isn't when you get right down to it. But we've got Prejudice and Intolerance. We've got another section on racism in the 1920s. We have Prohibition. Organized crime is another one. And then we have the Red Scare as well. The first one, not the McCarthy one. With each of these society questions, there is a worksheet there where you will use the information from these other things, which are usually a mixture of documents you access within Google Classroom and YouTube videos. If any of the YouTube videos are not working in any of these activities, please let me know as soon as possible so that I can fix that. The recommended way of, if a YouTube video isn't working, post it in the comments of that assignment. Thank you in that regard. Oh, and the last one is the Scopes trial with a cartoon that I like. And so this is the breakdown of the assignments for the Roaring 1920s. There's still some reading activities in here, but I've decided to incorporate video as well. Based on student survey data, most of you have access to YouTube, and I do know that some of you do better with visual and audio as well as reading materials. So the assignments have been configured with that in mind. The due date for this has not yet been set, but I can't imagine, if I had to guess, now that we're really into things, the due date will be set to one of the last days in April. The due date will be announced later this week. But for now, your primary priority, finish imperialism in World War I, and then please move on and start on the Roaring 1920s. Oh, and just so you're aware, we have 2 more units. They're going to be smaller units because typically they're run together, but I will separate them for ease of use. We will also look at the Great Depression, and we will look at the New Deal. And with that, then comes summertime. So we're almost done with this course. But please review the instructions and work through this. The last piece of news worth mentioning, I suppose, is the color of the day. And the color of the day shall be